Hi, everyone, and happy Sunday. As promised, I'm only doing a video post for this week just to keep things consistent, but we have all week to work on our final project this week. So there's not going to be a weekly post, just like I've been doing since the beginning of the pandemic, because all of that information was included in the weekly post from last week. And you are now finally working on that final project of the course of the semester. So this is the document that I posted last week with the actual assignments from last week, and then the final project, which was included in our weekly breakdown on Thursday. All of this information is obviously included there, and you guys have been signing up for your country as well as the company that you would like to select. And I've been receiving emails from students just double checking to make sure that the country that they've selected, or sorry, not their country, but that their company that they've selected will be okay. So that's fantastic. You've got all week to work on this. And as I mentioned in our video last week, this is due next Monday, no later than 8 a.m. The reason for this is because my report cards are due on Thursday morning. So I have a very short turnaround to get those marks done, as well as so the assignment marked, but then also your report cards done in that period of time. So I can't accept anything later than that. So just make sure that you do submit anything that you've completed by that time, okay? Next week, just to give you an idea, next week is considered our last instructional week. And obviously things are completely backwards this year in that we've been told as teachers that we have to continue the instruction right until the end, so that Friday, even though report cards are due on the Thursday. So just so you have an idea of what you're going to be looking at next week, I am only going to be posting a survey, a follow-up survey from this semester. I would really, really love for you guys to take 5 minutes of your time to complete that survey. It's twofold for me. For one, I would love to get some feedback on how you felt this semester went with COVID, because next semester, we've been told to expect some kind of hybrid learning, and that I'll be teaching online as well as potentially in the classroom. So I just want to know what your thoughts were on how I ran the class this semester, and things that you felt worked well, but also things that you think could be better for students should this pandemic continue and students have to continue hybrid learning, or virtual learning, I should say. And then also, I just kind of wanted to get some ideas for what you think could be implemented for students next year, should the pandemic continue in high school, that you think could make their high school experience better. So that survey I'm going to be posting next week, and I'll just have a TED Talk video for you to watch. But there's going to be nothing that I'm going to be giving you next week that I'll be marking. So after this project is done, and then of course, if you take the time to complete that survey, then your work for the entire course is done. So I know a lot of you have been, really slugging it out, trying to get through this last month. I've received, probably over 100 emails just this last week alone from you guys, just telling me that you're trying to get in those last math assignments, those English assignments, and that it's been really hard for some of you juggling a lot of different, facets of your lives. And I know that, next year in university, there's going to be a continuum of learning that looks like this as well, with virtual learning. For a lot of universities have already said that they'll continue virtual learning, or it'll be hybrid learning. So the thing is that this semester has totally sucked for you guys, but it's something that you do have to wrap your head around just for a little bit longer until they figure this pandemic out. And pushing yourselves in this environment to continuously learn and grow as a student is so important, especially if you have post-secondary goals, which I know you all do. And we're at the bitter end here. So just, push yourselves, just get through it. And at the end, you'll feel so proud. And then you have 2 months off and you don't have to think about this until September. So, again, I know it's a lot easier said than done, but you've made it this far. Just continue to get those assignments in, get this last project in. You'll be grateful for the learning that you'll get from having done this work, especially if you're going into university next year. Okay. Sometime this week, I'm also going to be posting your updated mark. So this will be your mark going into your final project. Okay, so your final project will be worth, obviously, marks. So if you don't submit that project, it will be factored into your mark. Now, your mark cannot go lower than, your midterm mark was prior to COVID. So say at, the start of the pandemic, you had an 81%, but then you submit a bunch of assignments and you got that mark up to an 89%, which is a 90% on your final report card, but then you chose not to do any work in June, then those marks will count. So you'll very likely end up back to that 81%. So while your mark cannot go down from that 81%, using that as an example, any work that you've done might be kind of, washed out if you choose not to submit, 5 other assignments because you decided that you were just done with the semester. This is a weird semester, right? Like, no, never in the history of high school have you sort of had the choice to accept something that you did 5 weeks into the semester as your final grade. But again, I can't stress the continuity of learning and how important it is to just continue to challenge yourselves. If you guys have educational goals and aspirations, it really takes a lot of strength and maturity to say, I'm going to just push myself and do this, even though I've kind of been given an out, right? So I wanted to put that out there. So I will give you guys that updated mark, but that will be going into your final project. So it won't be your final mark. It will be the mark prior to whatever your final project mark might be, whether that's a 95% because I'm marking really easily right now, or a 0% because you chose not to submit it. Okay? So that's pretty much it. I will post a video next week just as my final hurrah. I've been told that a lot of the students have really appreciated these videos, and I do want to acknowledge that, I'm grateful that they've been helpful in some way, shape, or form. And I'm thinking about you guys. Hang in there just 2 more weeks. Email me if you have any questions at all. Have a fantastic week, and I will see you online.